Big news going on right now internationally. I'm going to bring you the information you need to know right away. We're going to talk about the BRICS. The second thing is, what does the inclusion of new countries mean for the petrodollar? And the third thing is, as the economy is falling, what's going to happen here with this new order that's being developed? If you stick with me throughout this video, I'm going to show you what you need to know about the BRICS. Does that sound good? Okay, let's go. What the potential expansion of the BRICS membership to include Iran, Turkey, and others would mean for Africa. This article here is talking about what's been happening over the last little while with this inclusion of the BRICS Plus as part of the new normal. We are seeing an expansion. It's no longer just Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It's going to get bigger. And one of those countries is Saudi Arabia. China supports expansion of BRICS membership. The Chinese Foreign Ministry on Thursday voiced support for the expansion of BRICS membership after reports about Saudi Arabia showing its intention to join the group that presently comprises Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This would be massive, in fact, because when you see today what's been happening, there's been a shift from west to east, and that has been apparent right now today more than ever before. We'll talk more about the implications for the US and so on, but let's move on. Citing the South African president, South Africa's local media reported that the Saudi crown prince, quote, did express Saudi Arabia's desire to be part of the BRICS. And Saudi Arabia is not the only country seeking BRICS memberships. Created in 2017, the BRICS Plus cooperation has invited leaders of developing countries outside of the BRICS countries to join the dialogue. This is literally an invitation. Come in and let's see what you can bring to the table. The BRICS nations already occupy so much of the population of the world and a growing amount of the total economy of the world right now as it is today. So imagine where this will be at in 10 years. This is where we get interesting because the US oil for security formula faces setback as Saudi Arabia shows interest in joining the BRICS. You remember what has happened here where we have the petrodollar. And essentially what that is Saudi Arabia, the big exporter of oil, will only export their oil in US dollars. They're going to make that happen. That's the way it is. We'll protect your oil fields. You sell your stuff in dollars only. We've got a great relationship. Well, right now today, 2022, that seems to be changing. It looks as if this could be the biggest shift since 1945. And we don't know, only in time will tell, but of course what we look at here with the BRICS nations as they stand today, that partnership, that alliance has been untouchable, it seems. Of course you've got Russia and China's major alliance, but what's going on? Look at the soybeans example. What happened during the tariff war between the US and China? China said, we're going to buy your soybeans, US, we're going to make this happen, we're going to do everything we can. And at that very moment, they went to Brazil and they started buying even more soybeans from Brazil. It shows you that there's these, both of the back and forth things that are happening, a lot of nonsense happening, and then you see what's actually happening when you look at the data. It's a whole different story. So let's talk about this more. In the middle of the page, it's not just Saudi Arabia that wants to join the group. Several countries are in contact with the BRICS to become members. These include Turkey, Egypt, and Argentina, whose president sent a formal application for membership in early September to China, which holds the rotating BRICS presidency this year. We have given them the same answer. This will be discussed by the BRICS partners and thereafter the decision will be made. So you can see the data around this. I mean, it's unbelievable that the BRICS currently accounts for more than 40% of the world's population and over 20% of the GDP. So just imagine where this is going to be, like I said, 10 years from now. This is a major development that's taking place right here before our very eyes. The shift that we are experiencing is going on geopolitically. It's not just the BRICS nations, because this is an alliance, just like there are other alliances out there. But what we have, of course, with the situation of Taiwan and China being front and center right now, today. Raimundo warns of deep and immediate recession if the US were to be cut off from Taiwan chip manufacturing. Everybody knows what's going on right now at this time. If you don't, essentially Taiwan is dealing with pressure from China. China saying we are going to have reunification. Taiwan is basically practicing for an invasion constantly, it seems. And at the same time, you've got the US doing everything they can to slow down China in their advancement of technology when it comes to chips especially. Okay, these computer chips, very valuable. A lot of them are being manufactured in Taiwan. In fact, so much so, I wanted to show you this article here. TSMC, that's the big boy in Taiwan, producing a lot of the world's chips. You could see they now find itself at the center of both a tug of war between Washington and Taipei and the fiercest front in the new Cold War between China and the US. This chart right here, I hope you can see it, but it's the meteoric rise of TSMC. And essentially saying, during the year 2000, there wasn't much happening, but right now today, the revenue has basically shot through the roof. Don't get focused on the amounts and so on, but each and every year, they have been exploding in their amount of revenue. Taiwan sees this dominance as a crucial security guarantee, sometimes referred to as its silicon shield. So what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Obviously, the whole world needs Taiwan to keep doing what they're doing, and everybody needs to stay in their place. This is massive. This is so important, which brings me to what's happening in the economy overall. If you look at this, you've seen a slowdown in the economy, and as a result of this, where is the growth going to be on the other side? Is it going to be in the US? Is it going to be in Europe? My goodness. Is it going to be in China, India, Russia, Brazil, potentially Saudi Arabia and Argentina, and all these countries working together, the ones with all the commodities, ones with the population and potential population growth? I think they're going to work very well as a team, as an alliance, and it's going to be a very interesting future, to say the least. Let me show you this. Australia inflation hits the highest in 32 years. And what's going on here? Well, just like with every other country, they're raising interest rates, okay? And, maybe they're going too soft, it seems. You raise interest rates and you slow down the economy. That's the goal anyway. And you look at that and many indicators, and one of them is real estate. Mortgage demand drops to a 25-year low as interest rates climb. What about this? Mortgage rates surge to a 20-year high, leading to a steep decline in home sales. In Canada, home builders' orders plunge 65% in Canadian markets. Deep freeze. So this is just for, one or the other. You look at this in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, whatever. It's all basically the same. Increase interest rates, you slow down demand. They're doing this intentionally. The hope here is that they can slow down inflation, and then they can, slowly get off all these interest rate hikes. I really don't know if they're going to be able to do that. That's besides the point. One of the factors here is that we look into Q4. Q4 is a time in which typically you'd have a huge surge in orders, a huge surge in demand. The prices of the shipments would be going up. I mean, it's just crazy, Q4. That's not happening. And this is one further example. If you watch this channel for a while, you know what I'm talking about here. Toy maker Mattel cuts annual profit forecast as inflation drags demand. There have been a number of companies that have come out and said the same thing. We do not have the demand that was there before. It's just a matter of fact. How many companies have been saying this? Oh yes, we ordered way too much. I can't even remember half of them, but Walmart and Target and all these companies, and there were others as well. We're talking about major billion-dollar companies that are saying, we got a problem here with too much inventory. What does that tell you? Is it a bad reporting? Is it maybe terrible forecasting? Is it the wrong numbers? The accounting was off? Or is that there's massive demand destruction. And that's for you to decide. Okay. But the fact is that right now we're seeing demand destruction. You look at that. Increase interest rates, you slow down demand. I mean, it's just a matter of fact. And we are still, if you look at the Fed funds rate, in the threes. In the threes. What happens if it goes to the sixes? Are they going to be able to get there? I mean, clearly not. At 1%, Fed funds rate was already too tight for this ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous financial system that relies on this massive, absolutely massive debt to continue to go on and on and on. I don't know how this can be sustained, but this is where we are at today. And the change here is seen in these new developments that are taking place. Saudi joining, does that mean they're going to start pricing in maybe other currencies, maybe a basket of currencies? They've talked about that before, BRICS nations saying we are going to create our own basket. We're going to have our own unified currency between us and we'll trade with that. We don't need to use the US dollar. This is huge. I don't think people understand the implications of this long term. Look, you look at economically, is India the same economy as the US? Is Russia the same as? No. But you got to look at this over 10, 20-year time frames and see who their partners are. That's the big difference, okay? I hope I made myself clear right now. We need to be prepared for this. We need to watch the changes and always remember to geographically diversify. So important, okay? Let me ask you something. Did you find this video informative? If you did, right down there, hit that subscribe button because tomorrow I'm going to bring out some really good information. You don't want to miss it, okay? Hit that subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow.